Good afternoon, friends. Another short video just to uh, get in touch with you and perhaps bring a few summary notes to the end of this week. Can't believe that another epic week comes to a close, and we are part of this saga still continuing. So certainly some general updates we've gotten from state and local partners, and you have seen uh, some of these updates come through. The One of the updates that we got this week certainly was the opening of some local drive-through testing sites for COVID-19 in Kalamazoo and Benno Harbor. We also got announcements about the availability of a mental health, behavioral health hotline in Michigan that is available for anybody to call in between 10 a.m. and 2 a.m. 1 888 733 7753. Another big one this week was a great resource put together by University of Michigan, Poverty Solutions, guiding the population to the stimulus payment and how they can ensure that they receive that payment if they're eligible. We've also shared some great resources from cell phone providers, which many have assistance programs to help people during the COVID-19, and naturally another number of executive orders. So certainly it's been a busy week. The technology and office support back in the Hartford building continues. Um, Thanks to Maria and the other three staff there, we are maintaining the support that you need so that you can do the work and continue to do the work remotely. And they've kept us well supplied and connected. We're getting more and more used to technology and these new systems. Microsoft Teams seems to be the preference way of doing video conferencing and meetings. Our management team was able to meet last week using that. It was kind of fun. And even our board meeting, our monthly board meeting that we are required to conduct, we're now doing so using Microsoft Teams. We've been able to support some of your hardware needs. We've had to do some things with laptops and equipment, and thanks to Mark and Maria, we've been able to arrange that in a way that it can happen while maintaining social distancing and yet avoiding any delays to your use of this important equipment. Um, in the public assistance side, we've got a number of clarifying communications this week. More salient about the pandemic EBT food benefit and how that is going to be rolled out. Lots of questions that came through that, and also a lot of questions and information about the stimulus payments and how that would be treated for assistance programs. We also shared a guide today, I believe, that lists all the policy exceptions that we've got up to date, and all the memos from the ESA that we've rolled out for our assistance payments. April 8th was the day of the authorization that the federal government gave that allows for the client's signature on a FAP or cash to be collected via phone consultation, and this is only granted during the time of the state emergency. So hopefully you read through that. And earlier in the week, we also received permission to have some of the analysts, Sandy, and the supervisors have FIS ES roles, and they've been able to pitch in and complete some case actions rather than add it to your work as a specialist. So also, don't forget until you have until April 22nd to complete the FIS and ES survey. This is a short, important survey. The date was extended. I'm going to send you another link so that you have it as a reminder. And we have until the 22nd to complete that. It's important that we give that feedback. This is for FIS and ES. In children's services, we had experienced a unique event earlier in the week with town hall meetings for parents and caregivers that were moderated and presented by the Children's Services Administration. So that went relatively well. It was later in the day. I don't know how many of you were able to listen in, but good questions, and certainly looks like it's a format that may be reused again. We were again reminded that clarification has been put out to the field about special requests for face-to-face parenting, where there are special circumstances. So we can request an exception from CSA if you feel or believe that not allowing that contact is going to have a severe emotional harm, and discuss those with your supervisor if you think that that's something that we need to pursue for any of your cases. It is very, very important that we continue to follow the guidance for entering contacts in MySACWAS. And the new guidance during this period was outlined in CI 2020-0032 and 2020-045. Again, I sent an email earlier asking you to diligently make frequent contacts with your families, more frequent than what policy requires, since we are not able to interact with people face to face in person. It is critical that we are supportive and that we are engaging them and that we are documenting that. And in many cases, it's going to require a lot of persistence and creativity on your part to be able to engage that person. And be sure to discuss some strategies if you are, running against a brick wall in trying to make these contacts and make them happen. Again, I ask you to be diligent in documenting those contacts very quickly and getting them up in MySACWAS so the reporting can reflect that. One of the latest things that was rolled out in the Children's Services front is a new effort called Rapid Permanency Reviews, and we are, as we speak, engaged in evaluating about 30 children in foster care who may be candidates for early reunification. And you're going to hear a lot from Megan and your supervisor about setting up some conferences the next few days, evaluate which cases will be good candidates, where it makes sense to work towards a reunification within the next 30 days, and certainly keeping in mind safety first and foremost, and availability of supports for families once they are reunified. The court is aware, and we're going to be working the nuts and bolts of that, and that's going to be happening pretty fast. So I hope you all are adjusting to this new way of doing business and getting a little bit more comfortable doing your thing from home, wherever that is. I read from some of my government sites that publish articles in various different topics. A good one this week that talks about transitioning to telecommuting and borrowing from organizations who have been doing this for a while. Now, granted, some of these organizations had a little time to plan how to transition to telecommuting. We didn't. We had to get on with the new way of doing business right away, and not with much planning. But here's some tips. I thought these were pretty good, so I would share them with you. And we can make this the best it can be until we start back to going into an office-based way of work. So here are some good ones. If you can, keep the same schedule. Now, right now we have a little bit of a different situation because a lot of you have families, school age children that you're trying to manage, babysitting them and caring for them at the same time that you're trying to work. So save that if you can. Keep the same schedule. Routine is extremely important as you transition to telecommuting. So make sure you're thinking about how is it that you're structuring your day, and the more that you structure your day similarly to how you did it in the office, the better you're going to be. So if you were the kind of person that started by doing a to-do list, make your to-do list. If you had a routine of having your coffee and your snack ready to go before you power up your computer, every effort that you can make to keep that routine, even checking with the person that in the office normally sat across from you. Now, if the case was that you sat across from somebody grumpy that didn't want to hear from you, then that's different. But if you had in your routine, checking in with your best buddy or somebody that sat across from you or over the wall, do that. Send a quick email or do a quick video check-in. So that's a good first step, first principle. Keep that routine going. Second, this is going to be very important. Set boundaries. You got to set boundaries in your new office space and with your office time. And not all of us may have the opportunity to have a private room in our homes that we can set up into an office. Some of us have to improvise, be on a kitchen counter, or being, as I'm in a sort of utility room, craft room that is off, to the side of my house. But setting out boundaries, not only about the space, but also letting the other people that are in your home that this is your workspace, and try for them to respect that and set some boundaries for that. The third, schedule breaks. Now, we can't go to the gym now, but I think I've talked about this. You got to schedule your brains. You got to get out, schedule your breaks, get out, disconnect a little bit from the computer, and try to stick together to some form of getting out and stretching. Now today the weather was awful, so I did not get to go out and stretch my legs for lunch like I've been trying to do every day since I'm working here. But there are things that you can do to make sure you have your scheduled breaks, scheduled lunch, and quitting time as similar as you had it in the office. Fourth, which is probably a reality we'll have to accept, we need to prepare for isolation. And it's almost inevitable that we are going to experience some of that. So make an intentional list of who you're going to reach out to and how you're going to keep that connectivity. Sometimes one of the ways to deal with that is to have your pet nearby. Now, not everybody can get a new pet, but you can certainly tap into the same friends that you had or create some new ones. And incidentally enough, for some of us, the quietness of the new space can be a problem. And we may need to put some background noise or maybe an old movie or something playing in the background. Now, I know some of you had already objections about noise in the office, so being quiet in your new space will be great. And then finally, at the end of your day, put away your work. That's a great tip. Even though it may be in a space that you use for other things in your house, just make sure you close that laptop. If you have your desktop up, power everything down. And since you don't have the time to commute and decompress, it's important that you put away your work at the end of your work shift. So I hope you're doing well, that the tips help you become more efficient and more relaxed in this new environment. And I hope that your weekend goes well, that you enjoy the beautiful weather that we have in the forecast for tomorrow. And we'll be back at it next week. God bless.